Hello, St. Thomas Academy, and welcome to the Cadet Football Show. To my left, as always, is my head football coach here at STA, Dan O'Brien, and our special guest today is the one and only Love Adebayo. So welcome to the show, you guys. Appreciate you being here. And we're here to talk a little STA football. Congratulations on a great win last weekend, 28-14 over Mahtomedi. Coach, let's start with you. Give us your assessment of the game.
Well, it was a hard-fought battle. You know, I talked with the kids all week long, Mike, that this is going to be a dogfight. It's two pretty good football teams, very similar styles. We both run the ball pretty well. We both play pretty good defense, and we knew it was 2 versus 4 in the rankings, and when you have that kind of a matchup, that's what you'd expect if both teams play well. And I thought both teams did play well. I thought maybe, though, at the end of the night, the score maybe wasn't quite indicative of the closeness of the game. I thought that, you know, we got that score about, I think it was 2 minutes, 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. We got one that pulled us away a little bit, but a fantastic high school football game. It was outstanding.
Yeah. Weather was great. Some people might think it was a little cold, but it was a good night to play some football. Love, you had an outstanding game. Give us your thoughts on what took place last Friday.
So these guys, like Coach said, that they've been a really tough team for us for the last 4 or 3 years, and we prepped really well for them during practice, our scout players and just everybody bring the energy, because we knew what we're getting ourselves into this week, and that they're a really good team. We went out there and we did our job, and the calls were good, our defense played good, our O-line played good, everybody just did their job, and that's what we needed to do to win.
You said something about the scout team. How important is that those guys that play on the scout team give you the best look as you're preparing for the week? How important do you think that is?
It's very important, because I know I've talked to a lot of my other buddies, and they don't have the same luxury that we do with having people compete for spots. And I've talked to them, and they've told me that they don't have the same scout team that we have. And when we go against our other guys, there could be starters or just one below starter, and that just opens up everything for everyone.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is a luxury that we do have. So you're up 14-6 at the half, actually into the fourth quarter. When you took the 21-6 lead, did you, with the little, it was about 6.5 minutes to go, did you feel like you were in control at that point, or what were you thinking in there?
No, I never feel like we're in control, Mike. What I preach to our kids, and I say, hey, don't look at the scoreboard. Just play hard. Play your best on every single play, and we'll let the score take care of itself. But no, I didn't feel good about it. And as it turned out, it came back, and they got a score on us, and we needed to pull one out late. We had a nice pass to Love on the second down or third down play that got us out of the hole.
Third and three,
late,
yeah.
And then we had a nice run down, and Savion ended up punching that one in.
Right.
So we had 2 big plays on that drive that kind of sealed the deal for us, and I felt better after that score. But again, we knew we were going to get an onside kick or something if they were to score. So now I wasn't comfortable till the very, very end.
Right. So you mentioned it, Maddaus, they have a great drive. They go down, get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, getting within 7 again. Did in the back of your mind were you thinking, oh, here we go again, just like the year before?
I was for a second,
Yeah.
and then that's kind of odd. Hey, now what do we need to do to put this thing away? What do we need to do? We got to get our offense back out on the field. We got to get a couple of first downs. I wasn't comfortable with what was going on in defense. Our secondary had, we gave up some big plays, so that was a concern of mine. So I'm thinking about what sort of defensive package can we get into that's going to give us a little bit better coverage on the back end. And if we get our offense back out, we know that they're going to be blitzing guys hard through the A gaps, and we're going to probably give us some trouble there. So what are the plays that we can use that we can get a few first downs and milk the clock? And that's kind of what happened. We forced them to take some timeouts, and once they ran out of timeouts, that's kind of when I felt like, one more first down, we'll be able to kneel this thing out.
Right. So the big play of the game in my mind is you're deep in your own end. It's or 3rd and 3. We talked about it before. 3rd and 3 from the 14, and everybody's expecting a run, right? That's what you guys do, and we Max rolls out and hits Love for about a 49 yard reception. What was going through your mind when the play was called? And did you know that you would be the primary target on that?
So we prepped it all week, and I was just to get like my job was to just like get the safety to like follow me, but there was no safety, so so I was wide open. I don't think I got the ball like once in practice when we were running it because we had a safety over the top. Yep. And but it felt good to catch the ball. Yeah,
I bet it did. In watching some of the game film, in fact, I just watched it before we went on film here, and actually, I think Seth was also in the area as well, and so it was kind of interesting. But great catch and little theatrics as you got hit and took a little tumble, gave you an extra 7 or 8 yards. So nice job. Coach, I wanted to ask you about this. I've been impressed with the play calling in particular in that game. At some really key times, you decided to throw the ball rather than run. How involved are you in that kind of game time decision and what goes into that process of making that call?
Well, that's a great question. My assistant coaches would tell you I'm too involved, way more than I should. But actually, this year, to be honest with you, I haven't called very many plays at all. I've kind of sat back and I've let Chad Abbott, our offensive coordinator, and John Springer, defensive coordinator. I've tried to stay out of the way. Both of those two are fantastic, and they're coming up and they're making great calls. The other thing that goes along with that is we have guys like Love who are making plays on the other end of it. You know, we talk about that one in the fourth quarter that dug us out of a hole, but what about the catch that Love had for the touchdown late in the first half that gave us the 14-6 lead going in? Again, a great throw by Max and a great catch by Love. And when you have those kind of things, we're a little bit more confident in our passing game. And I think what's happening is our passing game is opening up a running game and vice versa. So teams aren't quite sure how to play us. Where in past, it's always been, we're going to stuff 8 or 9 guys up in a box and try to shut your running game down.
Right. Well, and I think you had the element of having Savion in the backfield, and then you've got Love either in the wing or split out. They don't know which way to go, which I think is a great threat to be able to have that when you go out there. So let's talk a little defense. I thought the defense played really well, limiting Mahtomedi, a pretty good team, to 14 points, and really keeping Corey Bamer to 108 yards. That was huge. The passing game was a little bit different of a story. Was that a little bit of a surprise to you?
Yeah, you know what? Not really. The quarterback came back. He started last year against us as a sophomore. He's back as a junior. He was hurt the previous 2 or 3 games, so he was back, and we knew he's a good passer. He can spin it. So we were concerned about it. I'm more concerned not necessarily about his ability to throw, as that we need to do a better job covering people on the back end of it. So we've worked on that hard this week, and the defense did play well. And that's the thing about that is when you work hard, you work hard, you work hard. You don't want to give up a big play.
Right.
And I think we had 3 of them that we gave up, and we had to get rid of those errors. And that's one of the things I said to the team, Mike, after the game. I said, you know what I'm most excited about is that we came out on top of this thing tonight, and yet we still had some mistakes. We had a ton of penalties. We had some big plays we gave up on defense, and we had turnover on offense, and those are the kind of things that we need to eliminate those things as we continue to progress towards the playoffs. And if we do that, Mike, it's pretty exciting what this team might be able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit more about offense just briefly. We've talked a lot about it already, but 280 yards by Love and Savion. Obviously that's a big staple of the game. Again, passing, Max was 10 of 13 for 142. Luke Dobbs continues to impress me. He had 5 catches, not a ton of yards, but at really critical times. A couple of third downs where you needed the pickup, and then obviously we go on and score after that. How do you? We've talked about this for a couple of weeks now. Are you okay with the kind of the rationing of passing to running, or are you looking for a little bit more passing than you're doing right now?
You know what? I think what we're doing right now, if it works, I think we want to keep doing it. That's each game kind of dictates something different. There'll be some games that we're going to look at and say, okay, hey, the score is this. We want to run some clock. We want to slow things down. We want to control the tempo. We want to run some clock. There's going to be other parts of the game like the Irondale game where we get the ball back with 3 minutes left in half, I want to run a 2-minute drill. I want to speed things up. So whatever the game dictates, that's what we'll try to do. And we're so fortunate, we've got a backfield that can run on most teams. At least so far this season, we have been able to. And our passing game has been good. I think what we need to do with the passing game, we need to spread it around a little bit more.
Right.
I think that will make us even more dangerous. So that we can spread it around and get a couple more receivers involved in the game. Otherwise, we're going to have teams stack up on loop, right? And that's what happens when it's good receivers. And why the Vikings right now are so good. They've got 2 really good receivers on the outside.
For sure.
And I think we have that too, and we need to just use both of them a little bit more.
Okay, sounds good. So let's move over to the players of the game. So our favorite segment of the show. How about on offense?
Offense was Max Sims. You said his stats already. He was 10 for 13. Had some critical throws and a couple throws where they couldn't be any place else other than where he threw them. Some of those Luke Dobbs a couple times was covered really well, and we found a spot and we got it in and made a catch on it. So he was our player of the game and on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and I would add he looks really comfortable when he's out there too. When he's throwing, and just has a real command of the offense and the team as well. Would you agree with that, Love?
Yes, sir, I would.
Okay, good. All right, how about defense?
Defensive player of the game was Jake Borman. Jake had a nice night. What you saw from Jake, you saw him have 2 interceptions, and one was a really nice interception, and at a critical time when they got the ball back, and we're going to maybe have an opportunity to drive on us towards the end of the game to help us seal that thing out. But what I noticed was his tackling was fantastic that night. That running back is really, really good. As you said, you mentioned we held him 108 yards, which is fantastic. He's close to the same class as our 2 running backs. I got in trouble in the team room because I said he is in the same class as our 2 running backs, and Love and Savion didn't like that too much.
You guys took offense to that? All right.
But his tackling was fantastic.
Yeah, and he was everywhere.
Yeah,
he was in a place where you're like, wow, he's a safety. He's up there making that tackle. So that's great to see. How about special teams?
Special team is Emmett O'Keefe. Emmett stepped in. He hasn't had a lot of varsity reps. He stepped in for Noah Erickson as our punter, and Noah has had a fantastic year punting so far, but unfortunately has a broken bone on his wrist, so he'll be out for a minute. But Emmett stepped in and did a nice job. I worry about him just catching the ball, not even worry about kicking it. And he entered into a game, probably the biggest game we have on our schedule to date. And he performed well. He kicked twice, and he averaged over 30 yards a kick. And so he was our special teams player of the game.
That's a big deal, a critical component in a game like that. So, and then how about your grinder?
Our grinder this week went to Brendan Gerber.
Okay.
Brendan came in and if you saw the game, Mike, he got hurt. Probably late in the first quarter. His shoulder subluxed a little bit, which means it slipped out of place just a little bit. Came out, he sat out the rest of the first half, said, "Coach, it feels good, I want to go." And of course, I don't make that decision, the trainer does, and the trainer said, "Dan, he can go as long as he can take the pain that he's having." And he ended up playing the entire second half with that thing. And just showed some incredible grit, and that's exactly what our grinder's all about, is that kind of grit.
All right, sounds good. All right, so the win brings you to 6-0. Now you've got a short week of practice this week because you play on Thursday, and then of course next week, MEB and MEA, you've got a really short week of practice. How does that impact your game prep, and what do you do differently in this situation?
Well, it impacts it a lot. We lose a practice day this week. We'll lose our basically our Wednesday practice. That's our biggest practice of the week. So we're going to lose that practice because we'll have to. Today is Wednesday, and we'll have to do a Thursday practice today. So we'll lose some reps, but it's kind of equal because Apple Valley will lose reps to they'll lose their Wednesday practice as well. But we do have to change how we do things. We back off them a little bit. Monday normally is a real physical day for us. We go full pads. We didn't do that this week. We just put them in our uppers, which is just shoulder pads and helmets. So we backed off that a little bit. We're trying to shorten practices up a little bit as we get towards the end of the season, as that piece goes. But it was a physical game. It's getting towards the end of the season, so we're a little bit less physical in practice now than what we were before.
Right.
We still compete hard in those types of things, but it impacts it for sure. And kids are playing with one less day of rest. And with the MEA weekend, it's even tighter. So we need to figure out a way to get through, as healthy as we can through next Wednesday. And if we're fortunate enough to have a bye, we'll take a couple of days off and we'll go from there and try to heal up and get ready for playoffs.
All right, that sounds good. So I'm going to ask you, Love, in this situation, you've only got a handful of practices left anyway. You're a senior this year. A handful of practices before we get to the postseason. Have you really thought about that? What that kind of means. I mean, obviously you'll probably go on and play in college, but your high school career is fast coming to an end. What does that mean to somebody like you?
It's definitely weird since playing as a freshman and just practicing every day, and it's coming to an end, and I really don't want it to.
Yep.
But it's at the tough part of the season where we hit our high and we just have to try to keep it there.
Right.
And for me, it's just got to grind it out for the end, and hopefully the results can be fantastic.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so let's talk about this week's opponent. The Apple Valley Eagles come to Gerry Brown Stadium. They bring a 3-3 record into the game after a kind of a big loss to Robbinsdale Armstrong. Tell us what you know about Apple Valley.
It's a typical Apple Valley team, Mike. They're big, they're physical. They've got some skilled kids that are pretty good. They've got a couple of receivers. They got a sophomore quarterback that throws it pretty well. But they get real big up front.
And as they usually are.
Yeah, they are. We haven't had an Apple Valley team, I think, in my time here that hasn't been huge up front. And this one here is no different. The other thing, they come in, they always seem to play us real well. They play us well, defensively. They're going to come after us a little bit. They'll blitz those A gaps. So it's certainly not a night off. There's never a night off. So we need to come out. We need to play well. We need to continue to raise our level each week that we play as we work geared towards playoffs. But absolutely 100% right now we're focused on Apple Valley and Apple Valley only.
Okay. So obviously you mentioned it before. Lots of things to work on this week. The penalties and some other things. What are the one or two things you guys are really focused in on as you prepare for Apple Valley?
Number one is, for me, I spend more time with the defense than I do with the offense, so I want to shore up our secondary a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we're not giving up big plays. We work so hard on defense, and to give up a big play, it's hard on your defense. It's hard on everybody.
Right.
And it puts the offense out there, maybe quicker than what they want to get back out there. They need some rest too. So that's one thing. The second thing is just the penalties that we can control. Some of the mental mistakes that we made, we need to get those out of there. And with Love here in the room, someone will probably say it at some point, we're wearing ball security.
Exactly. So Love, as one of the leaders of the team, how do you help the coaching staff by preparing the rest of the players?
Just making sure everybody's head is on a swivel. When some people goof around, sometimes just let them know to be dialed in.
Yeah, that's good. One thing I'll mention, I just had this thought popped into my head, is one of the things I notice when watching you guys on the sidelines is you are not only are you focused on the game, but you're having a lot of fun too. Tell me what that sideline experience is like.
Well, I feel like I'm a pretty goofy guy,
Yeah.
so I just try to bring everybody's energy up when we're on the field, and I just want to see everybody else do good and succeed while we're on the field and in life. So that's just that's just me.
All right.
Bring everybody up.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thanks for talking a little Cadet football with me today. Good luck to you on Thursday. So, your Cadet football team will play the Apple Valley Eagles this Thursday at 7 p.m. The game is here at St. Thomas Academy in Gerry Brown Stadium. Tickets can be purchased online. We'll have a link for you below. If you can't make it but want to watch it live, you can do so by visiting cadetbroadcast.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week, and go Cadets.